Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with the FX Market Insight for the 23rd of August. All right, now I was due to do the Market Insight about 3 hours ago, and there wasn't a hell of a lot going on. The currencies were pretty much trading sideways, and it was more of a bit of a wait-and-see scenario. But since then, I did have a power outage for about 2.5, 3 hours, and the US dollar has kicked in across the board, rallying against dollar yen, also up. Bit of a short squeeze there in dollar CAD back into the range. And we are starting to see euro and sterling just trickle lower, whilst the Aussie has been given a good old mighty sort of whack. Now, the situation with the Aussie, the Australian Parliament has been adjourned. Looks like they're going to kick out the current Prime Minister and will be replaced by one of the other buffoons. So just a bit of weakness in the market, I think. That'll be the local market selling Aussie dollars on that one. But if you come across and have a look just at what's been going on, now we had a big opportunity yesterday with the Canadian retail sales figures. Now those sales figures were pretty much flat, or actually they were negative, minus 0.2. But we were looking for strong numbers. So, but it didn't stop. A little bit of dollar weakness and a little bit of a rally in oil pushing. Just enough to trigger the stops below 130 the figure. That's what I mean. If you don't get the fundamental push going with it, well, then it's hard to see a sustained move. And I tell you what, if you've got stuck into the dollar CAD on after the release, I mean, there was nothing to get caught up in with our retail sales figures out of the Canada, I should say. But what you can see now is just a market that was keen as hell for a look below 130 the figure. Now, a couple of days ago, when it had momentum, that looked like a great trading opportunity, and it didn't quite have the momentum then. Trading sideways, data's neutral, which suggests no movement, just enough to push it down, and now we're starting to see some dollar strength come into the market. So dollar CAD, bit of a fizzer on the data, and a bit of a cruncher if you were still looking to stay short dollar CAD. Now, let me just have a look. I'll just show you what's going on, because if you come back over here to the MyFX Trading Hub, now I won't come into the data just yet, but just looking at the fundamental side of things. Now, I've changed my perception of what is going on in dollar CAD to a sideways. Now, what we have got is we had strong inflation numbers, a week ago. That puts the central bank on interest rate hiking mode, but the data since then has been weak. So we've lost that continuation of the strong Canadian numbers. So the Bank of Canada is hawkish, but the rest of the data has been weak, and the fundamental, or the technicals as well, has come back into a bit of a neutral plateau at the moment. All right, so dollar CAD back to a bit of a sideways, as is most of the others. The Kiwi still remains bearish to me, and as I've been saying, the US has got the best fundamental market, so it should be in an uptrend. All right, and that's what we're seeing at the moment. If I come back across here to the daily charts, so you can get a bit of this is going to give you a bit of a picture. Just on the CAD there, but give you a bit of a picture of what's happening on the long-term perspective, and you need to keep an eye on this. Remember, I was just saying, like, we're coming up to some key levels here. You can see Euro, Aussie, Sterling, Kiwi, all testing these long-term resistance lines, and they have all held now. So with the dollar coming in a bit strong, you would expect the next leg of the moves to start to happen. How can you see if that's confirmed? Well, have a look at this. Dollar yen, it's the worm has turned there as well. So we're starting to see a little bit of an uptrend there in dollar yen. And that's where dollar CAD threatening to break down through sort of 129.85, just didn't have enough momentum. All right, so what you need to do is, where's the direction coming from? If I come back over to the main pages here, let's just have a look. You want to focus on the US dollar, of course. Always keep a close eye on what's happening with the US dollar index. You can see, once again, there was no data all week. This is all geopolitical crap pushing it down. We get to a key technical level. It starts to bang around the barroom brawl there, and now starts to rally on the back of what? And that's what we need to find out. Why is the US dollar rallying now? Now, I looked at this, as I said, 3 hours ago, and this is where you can get misled by the media, of course. Now, what they were sort of talking about is the whole article here up the top at the start of the day, end of the North American session, says dollar broadly higher after Fed minutes suggest rates likely to rise. Well, that was in there, but what they were focusing on was the worry about trade war, and they were talking about why the US dollar came off. So they're absolutely full of rubbish. They're just telling the story as it fits. I was going to say earlier that there was a little bit of concern because in the minutes previously they have said there's no issues with trade problems or wars or anything like that. This time around they said it's probably wise to have a look at what impact particular trade deals could do, as in there's a bit of concern. So that was not dovish at all, but it was a bit of a worry, and that led to a short-term little blip down. But the fundamentals in the US are strong, and that is overriding everything. All right, now we've got NAFTA coming into play with dollar CAD. Don't forget we've got a massive hurricane heading towards Hawaii. Now, it's not a massive oil area, so there's no major movement in oil, but just keep an eye on that story as it develops. And then you've got, the trade war issues, Trump, China, the meeting. This meeting between the US and China has been downplayed. That's next Wednesday, Thursday in the US. Apparently, they're sending out the nif-nuffs, the gooseberries. There's none of the important people are going to that meeting, so they don't expect anything to really be resolved. So you need to sort of keep abreast of that as we go forward as well. All right, now this sort of brings us in. So you're looking at the picture here, the fundamental picture, and you're like, well, it's still a little bit, there's still a whole heap of crap that's driving the market. And of course, this all stems from our good old mate with the hair toupee, Donald Trump. All right, now he's created a whole heap of shitstorm at the start of the week, criticising the Fed even last week, talking about all sorts of crap. Now the fact that his two henchmen, his advisor Manafort and also Cohen, his old legal advisor, have been incriminated and look like they're going to do some jail time. Now you wait and see these guys roll over on Trump. Cohen's already come out and said Trump told me to pay let's just go with stripper, the cash out of the party funds. Now that's a breach. That could be, potentially an impeachment. Everyone in the US seems to hate Donald, except for the mid-America. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. Now, that all aside, we can see what's going on. The dollar's slightly rallying. Let's look at the upcoming events. Okay, coming to Thursday, German flash manufacturing. This could give the euro a bit of a shot in the arm. I think what will be more important will be the monetary policy meeting accounts. Now, this isn't a meeting as such to change a vote. They get together. This is a good idea, and say tell you what's going on, sort of mid-month. Let you know what's going on. This isn't, we're not changing rates, but we'll let you know what we're thinking. This could be another good area where we could see something out of New Zealand. Out of New Zealand. The Kiwi trade balance is following that. And then we've got the US durable goods, and that's going to round off the week. So today, your main focus is probably going to be the euro as we go into that European session. There's not much out of North America, so watch out for Trump. You're looking at the news wires, which is no way to trade. You can't sit in front of your screens for 12 hours hoping or expecting Donald to come out with something stupid. He probably will, but don't forget, he's the biggest backtracker ever. So he could backtrack and really screw up the whole framework of everything very quickly, okay? Especially when they start pointing fingers about who said what and who did what with regards party funds. You can be pretty sure Donald will throw everyone under the bus before he goes. So that's where we are. So the Fed, okay, still hawkish to me. I expect the US dollar to remain strong at this point, all right? So when you're looking at your charts, whether you're looking at a long-term perspective or short-term, we do have some levels here. Now, the Kiwis getting close to a level. Now, all these moves are geopolitical, so it's a little bit hard to get heavily invested in them. We've got euro and sterling just drifting back into the range, whereas we've got Kiwi sort of testing a support trend line here at the moment, and the Aussies coming up to another there as well. It's like, well, that's just geopolitical rubbish. It's hard to see what's going on. And then, we're going to move here on dollar yen. Dollar yen is probably the one to watch through the rest of the Asian session. If it pops higher, we may see a move to the downside. And actually, just as I mentioned that, I forgot to give you a look at the big nemesis in Asia, which is, of course, which I mentioned yesterday. You're going to expect the dollar yuan to rally at some point. And there's weakness in the yuan. This is probably where the weakness in the Aussie and Kiwi is coming from, directly from China. So that's the thing. If you take your eye off the ball here, it's hard to work out what's driving what. The Asian session, we know China is the major critical point. This is rallying pretty aggressively, and that, I'd say, was the catalyst for the move down in Aussie and Kiwi. But the Aussie got a bit of extra helping along with those lunatics in government. And that's pretty much it. We've just got to another thing here. Trump says he has asked Secretary of State Pompeo to closely study South African land, farm seizures and large-scale killing of farmers. I mean, that's just a distraction, right? I mean, I'm sure Donald doesn't really give a toss about anyone. So that's a distraction that he's thrown up there. It doesn't really mean anything. I wouldn't worry about that at all. So, guys, focus on the upcoming events. This is a bit of a testing week as far as the majors go. If anything, all you're doing is readjusting the new levels to the trend lines to the new levels we've seen. So in the US dollar, it is now sort of back into that mid-range with its eye on the level up here, back up towards 96. So you'd expect that slight momentum to continue. And the ones to watch, I'd say, right now, the dollar yuan and also dollar yen. Just keep an eye on those two. That they are controlling the ship at this point. All right, that's it for me, guys. A bit of a long-winded one, but I just wanted to sort of cover a few things. There's some moves here in Asia that were sort of politically driven, but also, we're seeing a few breaks. Those major trend lines are holding, so check that out. And don't forget, once you are in the MyFX Trading Hub, go down here into the major analysis. If you click on the flag there, you'll go to the major analysis, and that'll give you a run through of what's going on, a bit of a summary, as well as the components of the technical side and the key data. All right, chaps, have a good one. We'll see you in the trade zone. Patience is the way to go forward from here. All right, good luck. Cheerio.